Life after Microsoft Windows, cutting the cord, Linux, PikaOS. You asked me for it. Let's check it out. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much once again joining me for tea time. Today we have a little bit of misty morning, and that is it. I hope you're joining me with your cup of tea, maybe a cup of coffee, hanging out, talking tech, talking photo, talking video. Today is a technology day. It's a geeky day. I'm gonna put on my glasses and we're gonna geek out a little bit today. You guys asked me to check out PikaOS, and that's what I'm doing today. You know, I've been running Linux Mint for about a week or two now. I'm really enjoying it. The compatibility is awesome. Printer's working, everything is working, gaming is great. So we've been kind of sticking with it, but a lot of you guys said, listen, we want you to check out a few other OSs before you get kind of rooted into this Mint nonsense. So that's what I'm doing. Today, we're going to take a look at PikaOS. I know it's a weird name, but that's what it is, PikaOS. And it's kind of cute, all right? It's kind of cartoony, the way they put things together. If you like that, it's good. If not, then not. I'll just show you my screen real quick before we get into it. You can see that there's black bars on the top and on the bottom. And this is my OBS currently running that is recording what I'm doing now. I probably won't use this monitor because then I'll have to kind of zoom in a little bit, and we'll just use the 27-inch monitor. It makes it easier for you to see things. But either which way, some things I'm going to have to show you on the widescreens. Just bear with the bars. If not, in post-production, I will zoom in just tight so you don't see them as much. Before we dive in, I just want to give you a basis of what is going on here. Years ago, 5 years ago, I did something that was life after Adobe, cutting the cord. And I took everyone on this journey that I went on, cutting the cord from Adobe and using alternatives for my professional daily life. And it worked out. And I've never used Adobe products since. That's 5 years later. Well, Microsoft started doing some crazy ass shit. And a lot of you guys said, you know what, I'm not going to use Windows anymore. What should I use? What is the alternative? And the alternative is using Linux or using Apple's OS X for the most part. And for me, I'm a Linux guy. I do have Apple like this over here, but I really like Linux on my PC hardware. All right. I just like it. It just works out really good. It gets out of the way. And in my personal opinion, that's what an OS or an operating system needs to do. Get out of the way. All right. It just simply needs to work, and it needs to work efficiently, quickly, and not monitor everything that I do and then radio back to home everything. All right. And that's what ended up happening with Windows with their recall package a few weeks back when I started this. It's about 40 days ago now, somewhere around there, about 40 days, I am off of Windows completely. Matter of fact, Windows is right here, and it has stayed here. All right, I'm only using Linux, and I've been using 5 distributions so far. I've tried out Fedora 40, Nabara 40, also Arch Linux, which is the Cache OS, which is kind of interesting, and then Linux Mint 22, and now finally we're trying out PikaOS. There might be some other ones, but this whole thing once again transpired when Windows or Microsoft started doing this thing, this recall thing, taking a picture of your screen every 3 seconds and then distilling it all down using your CPU processing power and then sending off that distilled data to Microsoft. What the hell is Microsoft doing with a snapshot of your screen every 3 seconds? I don't know. But if you take a picture of anyone's screen every 3 seconds, you have everything. You have passwords, every place that they've been, where they're coming from, going, what they're doing, what they're not doing, everything, right? Everything. What is the purpose behind that, right? So anyways, the telemetry and this security issue and just, I think the malware basically that Microsoft is at this point. Windows is basically malware. It is spyware. At any rate, people just basically got up in arms. Microsoft walked it back. And instead of this recall thing being turned on by default, it is now turned off by default. Interesting how that works. I don't even know how that would be legal to take a picture of someone's screen every 2 to 3 seconds and then radio this information back to the mothership. I mean, yeah. Anyways, that's why a lot of people are moving, and that's why I ended up creating this series, Life After Microsoft Windows, cutting the cord. So we're going to see what ends up happening with this. A lot of people have been watching it because they want to see me fail and go crawling back to Billy the Kid and be like, thank you for Windows. Spy on me. I love you. Other people are like, do it, Joe. Do not go back, right? Stick with Linux. So we'll see what ends up happening. Once again, I've tried out now 5 distros or distributions, and today we're looking at PikaOS. So let me go and switch this over so you can see what this looks like. Obviously, this is my OBS running right here. We can see those black bars, top and bottom. I'm going to end up using this monitor to show you things. So this way the aspect ratio is proper. But anyways, that is OBS, and OBS is running absolutely perfectly. If not, we wouldn't be able to record this. So I have OBS running right now. I have another sound recorder or a voice recorder running just in case we have problems, because in the past, and that includes Linux Mint as well as Nabara and a bunch of other ones, when I recorded, somehow there was some kind of glitch happening that was happening in this, I believe, in the Scarlett 2x2, where it takes the audio analog, converts it to digital, and then sends it through USB 3.1, I believe, into the computer. But there's every once in a while like a little glitch, a glitch in the voice. Really pisses me off. But anyway, so when I record it separately, it doesn't happen. It's just when it's baked into the video. So maybe it's just an OBS thing. I really don't know. So we'll see what ends up happening with that going forward. We also have DaVinci Resolve installed as well as Steam. So I can install the Guild Wars 2 game because I want to test that out also to see how the performance is with PikaOS. I also installed all of the LibreOffice package as well as all of the other little niceties that I need, including like printing. So both printers ended up being installed, and they installed perfectly. Now, other distributions were not so nice, especially like the Arch was brutal. I didn't get anything installed, no printers installed. As a matter of fact, Bluetooth was a hot mess too. Now, there's ways around it, and yes, you can go in there and turn things on and do this, that, and the other thing. It's very do-it-yourself, PikOS or Arch in general. But I'm trying to create something that I can say to you guys, you can move directly into from using Windows. And that's what's important to me, because a lot of you guys do not have a system administrator background like I do for 30 plus years, all right? I've been sitting in Unix forever. Way back in the BSDI days and the FreeBSD, and then moved into Red Hat and so on and so forth. So I've been doing this for a very long time, but I want to get something really easy, once again, for you, so that when you see me do this, you're like, oh, I should be able to do this. This should not be that big of a deal. Now, just so you know, I installed the PikaOS on this little tiny pen drive last night, and in about, I want to say about 4 hours in totality. Yeah, I would say about 4 hours, maybe 4.5 hours. I had everything that I had working on Mint working now on PikaOS. That's pretty damn good, because when I tried that on the Arch distro on PikOS, I was there for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and I got basically nowhere. There was just a lot, it was just like a mess to me, an absolute mess. Now, with Fedora, it wasn't a problem either. Everything installed really quickly. The only thing that I had was my thermal printer would not work on Fedora. It works here on this distribution. And I'm going to tell you why that is right now, because let me go and switch back over to this screen. I'll throw my mug down there at the bottom. And let's go ahead and open up Firefox real quick. Let me drag that over here. And let's go check out what this PikaOS is. Now, this is their site, all right? And let's read the words, right? Because the words are kind of important. Now, PikaOS, if you go over to pika-os.com, you'll find this site. And matter of fact, if you click right here where it says Get PikaOS, you can download it. We're not going to click that just yet. It says new Linux distro. PikaOS is a gaming-focused Linux distribution focusing on ease of use and high compatibility. That's exactly, guys, what we are looking for, right? Ease of use and high compatibility. So all of your hardware works and all of your software you'll be able to find or be able to use. Using the know-how of Nabara combined with Ubuntu-based, PikaOS is almost unrivaled in software compatibility. Now, Nabara is what we tried, Nabara 40. That is, let's say, a branch off of Fedora 40. Nubara 40 basically tightens it up a little bit for gaming and for creative users. It sticks in drivers and all kinds of other niceties. We also tried out an Ubuntu derivative, let's say, thereof, a distro, which is Linux Mint, right? Mint 22. So this is actually combining both of those into one OS, which is this PikaOS. Our repository is also extremely fast globally thanks to Cloudflare's CDN. They also power our global ISO mirror and status page. And then if we come down, we can see some features. This is obviously a cute burb. I like it. Nice. Gaming out of the box. PikaOS is set up to enable as pain-free as possible Linux gaming out of the box, drivers included. We include the best drivers for your hardware, either baked into the OS or the distribution or installable through our welcome app, and they do. Excellent performance. The combination of up-to-date drivers and a custom tweaked kernel means PikaOS is fast, and yes, it is. Excellent compatibility. Due to the Ubuntu base and the custom patches, PikaOS has a high level of software and hardware compatibility. Open source, it says all of the code can be found on the GitHub and so on and so forth. So this is just a little bit of information about it. Now let's move over to, that is the features. Let's go over to credits. I think this is interesting because it gives you an idea of what is going on with this PikaOS. And as you can see here in the credits, we see the kernel base is PikOS, and it gives the team, and it says Peter here. Interesting. PikOS base, that's a kernel base. Now PikOS, like I said before, is Arch Linux. So we have Arch. Now we know we also have Ubuntu, and we also have Fedora because they're incorporating some things from Nubara 40, which is Fedora. So now we have like the Holy Trinity all baked into one. We can see here software updates and web app manager from what? Linux Mint, right? Interesting, right? Coming down a little bit further, check this out. PopOS team. That is for the repositories, the firmware manager, so on and so forth. And it's using that GNOME or Genome or GNOME as I call it shell with Pop Shell. So PopOS is another operating system or a distro that you wanted me to check out that I will most likely check out, which is based on Ubuntu. But it's currently based on Ubuntu 22.04 and not 24.04. So I really don't want to go backwards instead of forward because even with Linux Mint, it's based on 24.04. So anyways, that's why I haven't tested out PopOS as of yet. I'm waiting for them to move. And we come down a little bit further, we see Vanilla OS team, that is for a package manager, so on and so forth. What I find interesting is they literally have incorporated 4 package managers into this distro. So you got Flatpak, you have their own, so on, you got a whole bunch. So this is really quite cool to be able to kind of combine everything into one. I really do like that. So let's pop over to my main screen so you can see this, all of the apps down here popping up. Maybe I'll zoom in post-production or something. Down at the bottom, we can see we have Firefox, which we just used. The next one is OBS, and that you can actually see right here on the screen. Now, if you guys don't know it, before I go any further, there is different desktops that are set up already. On this desktop, you can see my audio recorder is going. This desktop is empty, and we can go back to the first desktop. I think that that is absolutely fantastic when it comes to multitasking, right? Maybe you have 2 different things, you're coding on one, and then you're doing some illustration on another. It's great to have different work areas. And if you don't have multiple monitors like I do, this is basically giving you multiple monitors, which is kind of cool. Once again, that's all you have to do is just click on them and you're going to switch from monitor to monitor or from layout to layout. Anyways, if we come back down here, we have our files. This is what you would see if you were looking around your desktop. This is what it looks like. This is like my home directory. If we go into wallpaper, we can see a whole bunch of the wallpapers I've downloaded that we're currently using. Matter of fact, is this one right here, this future robot, whatever she is there, right? So you can download whatever wallpapers you want, so on and so forth. So that is your directory or your folders. And then next to that, we have Handbrake. Now I use Handbrake a lot. Every single distribution, I always put this in there. And the reason being is I use it for manipulating the video that I create. And the reason being is currently currently, we're looking at a problem with DaVinci Resolve. Now I put Handbrake in all of my operating systems, all of my distros, every single one. And the reason being is DaVinci Resolve has a slight problem when it comes to the free version on Linux. The free version on Linux does not like MP4 files. It doesn't like AAC files. So what I do is in Handbrake, I just change my file or my container, let's call it. So instead of it being an MP4 file that has AAC audio, I'll change it to a .mov file and then change the audio to Opus or something. And then I could dump it directly into DaVinci Resolve and it doesn't care. So that's why I use this all the time. Let's get back over to this window. The next thing is our terminal window. Let me go and switch screens. We're back over to the 27-inch. Let's close this for now. This is our terminal window. All right. So if we type in, for example, NEO fetch like that, hit enter. There you go. That gives you an idea of what my system is currently looking like. The system currently has PikaOS Linux 3, and that is a 64-bit version. It is 6.8.3. It's been running right now for 1 hour. There is 2,806 packages and 24 flat packs currently installed. So let's pop back over to my other monitor and see what else we have down here. We also have GIMP installed. Let's go ahead and run that. That's GIMP 2.10. There you go. Do you see how fast that opened? I mean, it is absolutely amazing how quick Linux is compared to Windows. I mean, it just literally pops open. I mean, let me close it again. Here we go. Let's go ahead and run GIMP. There you go. I mean, what is that? Like 2 seconds? I don't know. GIMP is basically a Photoshop-esque tool, so you could modify your images, you can build thumbnails or whatever you want to do. I personally don't like it that much. It is okay. It just feels very rudimentary. It is like back from like Windows 95 or Windows 7 or something like those days, right? It just feels clunky and old, but will it get the job done and in replacement to a Photoshop? Yes, it will. Let me get back over to that screen. The other thing was Krita. Now, I like Krita even better. Let's go ahead and run Krita. Now, I've never opened Krita before, so let's see how long it takes. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. It was open pretty quickly. So this is Krita. Now, Krita is another image editor, right? This is obviously widescreen right now. Let me shrink it down so it's not so wide. Here we go. There we go. We'll stick that over here somewhere. So Krita is pretty cool. It's kind of like GIMP, but I personally like it better. It just works out better for me. I just think that it is a little bit less kludgy, but it is more for painting and drawing in comparison to GIMP, where it's more like Photoshop, where there's a lot more things that you can do with it. So Krita is definitely my choice. Let's get back over there and let's see what else we have here. Now, Raw Therapy. Raw Therapy is the equivalent to your, let's call it, I guess, Lightroom. Now, I haven't opened it. I just downloaded it. So here it is. It is open. This is what it looks like. And what you do is you just go into wherever you have your raw photos, and you go into that directory and they'll automatically pull up here. And then of course you can control everything like you see over here. Enable meta filters. You have aperture, shutter speed, ISO, focal length, exposure, and your camera and all the lenses and all the rest of this stuff. So for me, Raw Therapy is pretty good. I like it. There's another one that you can use as a replacement to Lightroom, and it's called Darktable. It works out pretty well also. I like it. It's not as good as Lightroom is, obviously, because Lightroom is kind of like the de facto raw editor out there, but these will definitely get the job done. And if you need to do modifications and do just basic changing and cropping and manipulating of color, tonality of your white balance, and then changing contrast and tone, it's not a problem. It is absolutely no problem. Matter of fact, it even has filters in there for doing other different things like getting your lens distortion fixed and all kinds of other things. So there is plenty to be able to do in these as an alternative to Adobe's Lightroom without an issue. Let's jump back. Let's see what else we have here. This right here is DaVinci Resolve. I mean, let's go ahead and run it just so you can see that it is running. The DaVinci Resolve that I'm currently using is 18.6. Let me go and just jump into one of these. These are just an edit that I just threw in here. Nothing is connected, but there you go. So we can zoom in, zoom out. This is what it looks like, and it works. It functions 100% without any issues. Let's go ahead and close that down. And let's see what else we got here. We have a system resource meter, and then we have the package or software library. Let's go into the software library just so you can see this. I like this. This is pretty cool. You know what? Let's go and move it over to the other screen. There we go. And this way I don't have to go and zoom in, zoom out, and all kinds of other nonsense. So this is the software library, let's say, or where you can go and get software. Now, what's nice about this is it doesn't really matter what you're looking for. If you type it in here, chances are you're going to find it. Like, for example, if I want Steam, okay, for gaming, I type in Steam and there it is. You can see that it is installed. If you want GIMP, you can type in GIMP, and as you can see, it pops up. You can see that it says installed. Darktable is another great one. Like I said, that's very similar to Raw Therapy. This is not installed. So that's all I'd have to do is click on Darktable and then click on install. And about a minute later, 2 minutes later, guess what? I have Darktable, and we can use that instead of using the Raw Therapy. It's completely up to you. And you can see what it looks like here. Once again, it is a Lightroom alternative. Very, very similar. It also does geolocation and whatnot. So it is a really powerful, powerful tool. And what's really nice about Darktable is that it is cross-platform. So if you use it here on Linux, you'll be able to also use it. Matter of fact, let me move that up just a little bit. If you use it here, you can also use it on any other OS. It is agnostic, let's call it. So that is the software shop, let's call it. There is a ton of software that you can download, once again, for free, which is awesome, right? That is fantastic. Now, there's one last thing, and that is Steam. A lot of people are like, well, how is the gaming? So let's go ahead and get over to my other monitor. And down here at the bottom, you can see it says Steam. If we click on that, Steam will pop up, and then what we'll be able to do is run whatever game we have installed on Steam. And there you go. It popped over to the other screen. So let's go and switch. I will get rid of this store, and we will also get rid of this terminal. So there's Steam. This is what it looks like. You can go into your library and you'll have all of your installs here. This is Guild Wars 2. So let me go ahead and skip that, run that. And what it will do is it will run Guild Wars 2. And what's nice about it is it will run it, but in like compatibility mode. Whereas normally Guild Wars 2 will not be able to be run on Linux. It is for Windows, right? It's a Windows game. But it doesn't matter because it will run here on Linux in compatibility mode. So there you go. Guild Wars 2 is up and running. If I hit play, matter of fact, you know what? Let's just go ahead and hit play. I will switch back over to the other monitor and we'll see what it looks like. So there you go. This is it. Guild Wars 2. We'll just go ahead and drop in real quick just to see what it looks like. Let's go ahead and fly right above all of this, looking down on it. That's sweet. Let's take a look at what the FPS looks like. There we go. FPS 43, 38, 46. All right, that is the FPS that we're currently getting. The problem that I have with this, let's see if we can find someone to attack. Here's somebody. All right, here's some people. Let's go ahead. Now, let's take a look at the FPS. Look at that FPS, 36. Let's not die here. 36, 45. All right, not too bad. 44, okay. All right, let's see if we can get out of here. So there's a lot going on. Now, I just saw it drop down to 29 FPS. This is the problem that I'm having with this, is that this OS is specific, or this distribution is specific, and they even said it in the words. Reading the words, because we need to read the words, right? They said that it was designed for gaming. Okay, because they've taken the best of all the different worlds, combined them together, and let's say tightened it up, okay? Made it a better experience. And what I've found is, in short, PikaOS is definitely slower when it comes to gaming in comparison to what my Linux Mint is. Linux Mint 22 is the fastest OS so far, the fastest distribution so far when it comes to gaming. Now that is gaming with my hardware. Your hardware might be different. So don't come at me and be like, no, this operating system is bad, this OS is better. I am just telling you my experience, okay? My experience. The gaming on this is definitely slower. I did last night when I finished the installation after the 3.5, 4 hours or whatnot. I tested out Guild Wars 2 and I went into a group fight with like 40 or 50 people because I did it also with Linux Mint 22 and I told you guys about it. With that mega group of people, once again, this is an MMO, so there's a lot of people, a lot of stuff going on in the screen simultaneously. With that group of people on Linux Mint, it would go down to maybe 35 to 45 FPS, okay? With PikaOS, it was dropping in the teens. I was getting 17, 19, 22 when it was like the heat of battle. That's unacceptable. That's basically unplayable. Also, when we're just sitting around, we get a maximum of maybe 50, 60 FPS in that game. Where if I'm just sitting around using Linux Mint with the exact same game, same hardware, same everything, I'm getting close to 100 FPS. You're talking about a doubling. 90. I've seen 107 a couple of times on Guild Wars 2. That is just amazing to me. And the disparity between the two is not good. Not good. Considering Linux Mint is just like a general OS, a general distribution, right? It is not specifically honed in for any reason. And PikaOS is. The same thing holds true with CashOS. CashOS is an Arch-based operating system or OS, but it is specifically designed to kind of tighten things up and make your experience doing any type of gaming or video editing or creative work a better one, a faster one. And I found that not to be the case. Very, very strange to me. Very strange. It's like what people are saying is not what I am finding out for myself. So anyways, what is my impression on PikaOS? Bear in mind, I've only used it for these few hours, right? 4 hours for the original install, tested everything out. And now once again, in the morning, I've tested it for another 2-3 hours. My initial view of this is that it feels very disjunct. It feels like a hodgepodge of things put together and then sewn to make work. It feels like what Windows does, where it has like 1,000 people writing code and like 5 people trying to then sew it all together so it doesn't break. Okay, that's what it feels like. It feels like some type of tapestry, some type of quilt where you have all of these different patches and you sew them all together and hopefully you get a pretty picture. That's what it feels like to me. Now, that being said, it does it really well. I mean, it's powerful. It works really well. The installation of everything went flawlessly. Just like they said, compatibility is like one of their prime things that they're looking for. Ease of use and compatibility. They got it in spades. My thermal printer worked. With the other OSs besides Linux Mint, it didn't. So we know that they're doing a pretty good job on the back end when it comes to compatibility. And I think that is probably because it has so many distros in one. You have your Nabarra, you have your Mint, you also have your Arch going on in the background. You have everything. And then you have all of the different package managers all rolled up into one also. So you can find or use anything. So it is really, I think, interesting. Let's just put it that way. Very, very powerful. Is it something that I'm going to continue using? Maybe not. All right. And the reason being is it just doesn't feel smooth to me. It feels once again very ad hoc, very hodgepodge, very like a quilt. All right, where it just doesn't feel very polished. And the reason it doesn't feel polished is because I know all of the other distros and I can see all of the different pieces from all of them, right? It's like, wait a second. Am I in Fedora? Where am I? What am I? It just feels odd. It feels odd. So I hope that they continue with this and it continues to get better. As far as for me, I'm going to move back into Linux Mint 22 as a daily driver, but there's other distros that I know you guys want me to check out. Down below in the comments, let me know what those distros are and why you want me to test those out. Once again, keep in mind, we are trying to get a distribution that is perfect for someone moving from Windows. Yes, I've been a system administrator for 30 plus years, and yes, I can make things work by forcing them to work from a terminal window, but you most likely can't. So I'm not doing it. If for some reason I can't do it in a GUI or with basic, rudimentary terminal window work, I don't want it. And don't ask me to check out a distro that isn't like that. Once again, we are looking for something that is easy, very highly compatible with hardware, something that just simply works for people migrating over from Windows. Let me know what those are and I will check them out. The one that I would really like to check out is PikOS. I just have a hard time, once again, moving from 24.4 to 22.4. I just have a hard time doing that. Now, does it matter? Probably not, but it just feels dirty. I've already moved into 24.04. I really like it. It works really well. Why do I want to go backwards, right? I don't know. But if you guys can convince me why I should go backwards and try PikOS, please do so. And I will do it. I will take another 4 or 5 hour night into the wee early morning hours for you, test it out, and then report back. Anyways, guys, I hope you're enjoying this series. If you want more of this series, like I said before, maybe I'll put a link over here. Maybe it'll be in the show notes or possibly in the pinned comment. Go and check that out. If you want to support the channel, say thank you. There's a button down there. Don't forget to subscribe and like and do all the sharing and all that stuff. I would really appreciate that. Anyways, many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay connected, and we'll see you in the next one. Love you all.